Our next session is titled Show, Don't Tell, How Real-Time Data Drives NOI. Our speaker is Stephanie Brown, Head of Business Development at REBA. Welcome to the stage, Stephanie.
Thank you and welcome. Thank you for everyone who's in the audience right now. This has been a jammed-packed conference so far, and we're only on day one. So I appreciate you and your interest in data. I am excited about it. I spent 20 years working for Trammell Crow and the management side. So I was running portfolios of properties. And during that time, one of my biggest frustrations was trying to get accurate data and having to pull it from multiple sources. We had clients with their own instances of the property management systems. We had our own. We had different. I had a client in one market that had one property and one in another, but for me to analyze a market, you know, my property with a portfolio within that market just took a lot of work. And from what I'm hearing and from some polls that we've taken recently, that is still the case. So there is a lot of time. I think it's, 90% time gathering the data and 10% analyzing, when really we need to flip that, right? So the reason why I'm excited to be here today is to tell you that that is available. Today, we have solutions up and running today that offer you a data warehouse, so to speak, where we pull in all sorts of data from your PMS, multiple PMS systems, ingrained maps, your reputation management. You can overlay your data. I'm going to show that to you in a minute. And that's pretty exciting when you can think that you can actually think strategically, look through your portfolio at a few clicks of a button and start making decisions instead of being frustrated, burning out people, having to do redundant tasks on, you know, putting Excel spreadsheets together and repeating the process, or the weekly reports that clients want that you're having to repeat and actually physically pull multiple reports for. So here we go. Okay. I don't know that the updated slide deck is here, but we're going to go with this one. So what ifs? I'm going to walk through a scenario of a senior marketing manager who, and this is a real life scenario, worked for a 20,000 unit company that used third-party management, but had a hard time getting all the data that they needed. And this marketing manager, as you know, in marketing, it is hard to gather all the data. You have so many sources and really dig in. So what she did was she was able to pull up some screenshots, and it would actually be very helpful if we could, as I walk through this, I don't know if you can pull up the revised deck. Okay. So we'll just talk through some of the points. This is supposed to be show me, not tell me, but right now I'm going to tell you until we get the correct PowerPoint slides up. She found that by using these dashboards, which I will show you in a moment, that one of our properties, 151 unit property in New York City, was underperforming in occupancy. And so when that happened, she wanted to dig in, so to speak. So because she had a tool available to her that had all of the sources in one place, she actually opened up a dashboard that was full of alerts. So it's by property, you can sort it by market, and it'll tell you these properties are missing these 5 key metrics, so you need to look here. So she could then dig in and pull up what's known as a funnel report. So this is a great place to start, right? You have your lead to visit, visit to application. It has all of your measurements. You can sort it by portfolio and start there and then go to the property and say, wow, am I hitting or missing here? Where am I hitting and missing? So what happens is that she found that they were doing really well on their leads to visit. So they were converting their leads to visits. But where they were missing the mark was on their visits to application. But then they turned around, and any application they got, they converted to leases at a higher than the portfolio average. She was able to determine this within 2 clicks of a button, right, without having to gather the data. And then at that same time, she was able to, I wanted to show you this particular report because it is an interactive report. You can see actuals for the portfolio, but on the other side of it, to the left, you can actually see the funnel input. So if you are missing your occupancy by 0.5%, put it in as a target goal, and this is going to tell you how many leads you need, and you want to reach that occupancy in, say, 4 weeks. Is that reasonable? You can see on here in this funnel report if it's reasonable or not. So you can do what if, you can have what if scenarios. So after looking at this report, she went ahead and pulled up a report that showed her where she was having occupancy problems by bedroom, and it happened to be the 2 bedrooms were historically running at 14% availability as compared to the others. Then within another click of a button, she could go in and she could look at the, I'm trying to do this from memory here, she looked at a report that was showing her highest lead sources, right? So now she can tell that there were 2 sources of traffic that were really giving her the best lead conversions, and the others were not. So she could eliminate that cost. She went to the cost report, found out that her portfolio was higher than average, and all within, this is within seconds. And then she determined that even though her cost per leads were higher, she could reduce her marketing spend, actually add a little bit more money in the areas where they had better results, still reducing her marketing spend and increase occupancy, which you wouldn't necessarily think would be possible, but they were able to do that. They were also able to see the fact that their visits, most of their visits happened on Saturdays, and their conversion from application to leases happened on Monday, Tuesday. So they then could take a look at staffing and say, how are we doing on Saturdays? Isn't that usually when a lot of properties understaff, right? Because nobody wanted to work the weekends. And so they were able to rearrange their staffing to handle the visits. And now the visits to applications increase. So within minutes, she can make this determination just by using the dashboards that were available to her. This is great because what happens is that typically at the end of the month, you're getting a P&L and you're looking at it and saying, you know, by that time it's too late to course correct, but now you can course correct during the week, every day if you'd like, by looking at these dashboards. All right, we're gonna maybe move on to the next one. Not really. Oh, you're going to get to see some of these dashboards, which is what I was telling about. I'm going to go back. There we go. Okay. So all right, we're going to get, in this dashboard, you're going to see the alerts that I was talking about, right? The 4s, they have 5 metrics across the board. They've sorted by market. They have 5 key measures that they're measuring. They see that the top properties in red are missing 4 of them. That's where they're going to dig in. But also, you want to know which ones are performing right, because you want to send those great congratulation notes out to your teams that are performing. You don't want to always hit them with the bad news. There's the funnel report that we saw. Here's the availability report, and that line across the top, I don't know if you can see it, is a 14%, where you can easily see that your 2 bedrooms are the problem. You can also see your move-ins, your move-outs, and you can dig in and say, we better take a look at our renewals, because we're having higher renewals than we want at this point in time. The marketing channel report that I discussed earlier, where you can see who's performing and who's not, what your conversions are on those lead sources. And then again, your recent customer events. So you can see where on Saturday, that blue line high is all the visits that were occurring, and then the green lines Monday, Tuesday are where the visits where the applications to leases were happening. So they wanted to discuss staffing. Here's the cost per lead chart. So you can see how they're doing, and you can see how they're doing against their portfolio. It's all very flexible. Now, another thing that's pretty interesting is taking your PMS data and your property management system data and overlaying it on some maps. So visual, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we're going to talk about one owner-operator who, I'm going to click this, and you can watch this building lease up, actually. So you're going to put your property management data on here and overlay it on these maps. And this was, I think, a 2-year lease up. It's a very big, obviously, large community. And so now you're able to see your availability and where you're full. This particular client was able to see that one side of the tower was leasing up faster than the other. They caught it very quickly and realized that in entering the data into their property management system, someone had left out a $500 amenity fee, and therefore one side of the tower, that side, was leasing up quicker than the other. So they were able to catch that, course correct, and they did not lose a lot of money in that, because if they had waited, obviously, that would have been a big error. So there's other things that can be overlaid here that are very helpful. You can overlay work orders. You can overlay your average days on market. So let's talk a little bit about that. So a pricing and revenue manager looked at the data, looked at the map, noticed immediately the top floors had because you had the average days on market, that they were available more often and longer than the rest of the building. So what happens? A 10% reduction, you can read it in 83rd floor units, is a reduction in your GPR, which is scary, by $9,600, but it also meant if you made that $10 reduction, they actually were able to reduce their vacancy by half a month. And so actually it netted out where in value, if you cap the savings at 5%, they've actually increased value by making that 10% reduction by over $500,000. So you can make these kind of decisions and quickly see by using this visualization tool. This is probably one of my favorite because it's very difficult to get this information, and renewals are so important, right? It's typically half of your income, and oftentimes you're having to cobble together all of these different reports. You have your financial data with the ledger information, the revenue management data, market rate, trends, leasing history, service requests. So let's imagine that your property management team has this available to them. This is a property with a specific resident. They come in to argue discuss their renewal increase. And so right here you have all the data. You have how many lease terms they've been. You have whether they have outstanding balances, what the market rent was when you made the offer, that's the dotted line, what the market rent is now. So you can empower them to make very quick decisions on whether you're going to negotiate with this resident or not. Because if you lose that resident, now the market has dropped and you're going to be bringing somebody in underneath them, so you're probably more likely to negotiate on that. Or conversely, if market rent is high and they're like, oh, our $200 increase is too high for us, and you're like, yeah, but we didn't bring you all the way to market. It's now $400 higher than what you were paying. But you have that in a split second. So you have turnover on the leasing side or on the management side. Anyone can open up this dashboard, see what's happening, and make a decision that quickly. That usually doesn't happen right now, I'm telling you. Some of the other things that, if you want to try and imagine this with me, there wasn't enough time to put all the possibilities on there, but right now, reputation management and survey data, we've been talking about that. Right now, we're thinking that if your reputation score is lower, right, your survey data is lower out there in the market, that maybe your occupancy is lower, but you don't know if that's true or not. We've plotted that now. And it is true. So you have the hard data to prove it, but not only that, you can drill in right in this single source of truth without logging in anywhere else and find the data right there that's saying what the problem is, so you can course correct again and fix that problem, and you will raise your occupancy, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with the data if you have it all in one place and you have these dashboards that are, give you the ability to make the data-driven decisions instead of having to spend your time gathering all the information, and it leaves little time for strategy, if sometimes ever. So anyway, I hope this inspires you to think that there is a possibility to have it, because it's out there right now. Thank you. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Buildings that have arrears on them or portfolios that have arrears on them?
Yes.
Would it create a dashboard that shows what units or what buildings have the most arrears?
Yes.
It has that option?
If you have the data, it
Okay.
can be overlaid on it, yes. Are there any other questions? Sorry about the clunky start, but thankfully you were able to see a little bit about what I was talking about. Do we have any other questions? All right, well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
The disruption fallacy in multifamily. To deliver this session is Michael Israel, VP of Innovation at SHAPAC.
So, a quick overview of the work that we do and what we've done. We are true multi-asset class developers. We've done everything from Soho House in the Hoxton to bringing Apple to Chicago, along with a bunch of office, retail, food and beverage, stuff like that. I'll kind of go over like my personal concepts and how I approach things. My background is not in real estate. Started a few different tech companies, primarily in software, one consumer electronics, one hardware. Was lucky enough to get Mark Cuban to be my first investor out of college, and subsequently he was my lead investor in every startup since then. My last company was acquired in August of 2019, which is when I got into real estate. And a couple developers in Chicago came to me and they're like, we want to innovate. And I was like, oh, word, I didn't know much about real estate. And then you start looking around, you're like, holy shit, this is the most archaic industry I've ever seen, like, in my life. Which, like, hey, you know, all props to it because you guys make money. So this is kind of like how I differentiate things and how I ask myself. It's mostly just like personal design language. So I always ask myself, is it a nice to have or is it a need to have? You look at a lot of technology, especially in real estate, it's just like way too much. It's just unnecessary. 3% approach, this is something I stole from Virgil Abloh. Personal concepts, nice to have versus need to have, 3% approach. Innovation, especially when you're doing anything different, regardless of whether it's innovative or not, a lot of people tend to go from 0 to 100. That just sets you up for failure, no matter how good the tech or the process is. It has to be incremental. Skate to where the puck is going. I think this is really fundamental to real estate too, especially with work from home and COVID. You know, you have these projects where you break ground and, you know, it doesn't go live for 3 years, but you're, you know, designing spaces based on like work from home and people not, you know, leaving their apartment. And then 3 years later, COVID's over and like you just have a complex or a building that just like doesn't resonate with reality. The goal versus the outcome, and this kind of has to do with like property management, tech, and just like whatever in general. The goal is different than the outcome, right? The outcome is what you want the end situation to be. The goal is what you have to do to get to the outcome. So, you know, if you're a developer, you're bringing in a new app or some, you know, new property management software, the goal would be to educate your property management team so that they understand how to use the tech, and then the outcome would be that the tech actually does its job, and you know, the rest of the dominoes fall. It improves operations, it makes property management's life easier, and it enhances the resident experience. And then the difference between velocity and speed, you can, you know, go really fast and run in circles and really accomplish nothing versus velocity, which actually measures displacement. This is our latest project, 167 Green, 17-story office building in Fulton Market, Chicago. Didn't have one lease signed before the pandemic. It was completed in September 2021. We're now 100% leased of the 650,000 square feet in the building, and this was all leased up during the pandemic. Here's some shots of what makes it unique. Full-size NBA basketball court on the top floor. Outdoor terrace, Soho House type vibe lounge on the 17th floor. Full gym, locker room, steam and sauna. And then this bottom left-hand corner, you'll see, this is our take on phone booths. Like if you go to like WeWork, you'll see, I actually think they had to take all their phone booths out because like they had like asbestos or something. But they were like just super whack phone booths, so we wanted something cooler. And you know, this is all 17th. ESPN did a special on our court during the NBA Combine.
Fulton Market in Chicago. It is a high-rise building, but inside on the top floor, they got a full-court basketball, and it overlooks the entire city of Chicago. Man, can I get a job there? What? That is what's up. And check out who worked out there this week. This could be the top pick in the draft.
And he did end up being the top pick, fortunately. Paolo Banchero. Then you'll see Justin Bieber. He was at The Office a couple months ago when he was in town for his concert. Zach LaVine, who's here on the right, has filmed all of his commercials here, which you'll see right here.
I bet you didn't see that. Watch your head now.
So that was all filmed on the court, and then it's actually cool. You could actually play on NBA 2K. I'm sure all you guys have gamer accounts and play every night. You could actually play on the court in NBA 2K, which is super dope. And then we'll kind of just go into like more, I guess, like perspective stuff. So invention versus innovation. A lot of people think the two words mean the same thing. They really don't. Invention is coming up with an original idea that is really, or original concept that really isn't optimized or user-friendly. And innovation is taking an existing product and just making it more user-friendly, more adaptable, more practical, and just more efficient. And I think that's something that's critical in real estate, especially when you're talking about like tech and you take all of the fragmentation into consideration, right? You have an owner-developer, then you have a third-party property manager, and then you have the tenant or the resident or whatever else. And then, you know, technology. Again, the first version of any new technology looks surprisingly like the last version of an old technology. It's innovation versus invention. Tech should never and will never define the experience. If you're a developer, property manager, and you know you're talking about your tech during a tour or just in general, like let's be honest with ourselves. Like there is no Steve Jobs type tech in real estate. There never will be. It's the building and the physical environment that matters the most. And how you design it. Tech should complement the process, right? People only talk about technology in real estate when it sucks. go to any, app in the App Store that's a tenant experience app and look at the reviews, they're all negative. Not that the app sucks, it's just people only talk about tech when it sucks. It just needs to be so good that people don't even realize how good it is until they no longer have it. 4 variables of tech development: cost, time, quality, and scope, and you only get 3 out of the 4. And developers, dudes in real estate and women are different beasts, like incredibly genius, whatever else, but like there's a little bit of a lack of self-awareness. Like they think that they're as smart as they are in real estate, and then they kind of like attribute that to tech as well. So like they'll talk to me about like developing an app, and it's like, I'm not talking to you about like how to like use wood to build a 17-story building. So like, let's chill. So like that's just like important, right? And then this is a custom app I built for a multifamily portfolio a couple of years ago. Built it ground up, used a third-party property management system, integrated 2 different access control systems, a bunch of jargon that really you guys have probably heard all day. So it was very simple. Access control got you in and out of the building, visitor management, and then real-time chat. And real-time chat is probably the most underrated because, you talk about, if I hear the word chatbot one more time, I'm going to like jump out of a window even though we're on like the ground floor. Chatbots suck. It's a shitty user experience depending on like what, you need it for. But if you have a leak in your apartment or like something is actually wrong, the last thing you want is a bot. You want to talk to a human. So we integrated this SDK via Intercom. It had read receipts, the ability to upload images, and it's very good for the back-end team operations as well. And then it also added a human element too. So like you'll see, I don't know if you could tell, that's like a property manager's face or profile, and like it kind of like attempts to build rapport between property management and the residents. Got you in the building, hands-free, didn't have to take your phone out of your pocket, just as long as it was on your person, the door would unlock. Seamless visitor, guest credentials, add right from your phone book, and then it autofills. And it would send 48-hour time limit, so you have a dog walker every Tuesday between 2 and 3. It's recurring, and they couldn't get in the building at any other time. And then you could remote unlock your door from anywhere in the world. Say your mom was waiting outside your apartment, you weren't home, you could just remotely unlock. This is something that we just deployed 3 weeks ago. So the mobile unlock that I just showed you previously, it's like Bluetooth, and it sucks because sometimes your Apple Wallet will pop up. It's laggy, takes a few seconds. So Apple finally opened up their NFC technology to outside developers. And we are the first multi-tenant office building to offer all tenants Apple Wallet capability. So a guy named Don C., he's a well-known streetwear designer, great dude, just brought on by the Bulls to be the creative designer. He designed our physical badge that's in the Apple Wallet. It's 167 with the basketball court. And just to give you an idea of why why the NFC versus Bluetooth matters, you'll see Apple Wallet on the left, Bluetooth on the right. On the left, it's like light years, right? And then when we launched, had a tech influencer come to the building. His name's Tim, and he just kind of demoed it throughout the building. And then BMW is the only car dealer or car manufacturer that also has Apple Wallet. So we had him go through the entire building with our badge and then leave using Apple Wallet to get into the car. You could call me Steven Spielberg. I directed that whole thing and it was crazy. All right, so design. And this is a quote that I really like. We're in an age where design is just assumed. You don't notice that the door handle doesn't work until it's broken. You forget that it's been designed. We're in a world where we just expect design. Another one, it's easy to make things pretty, but it's hard to make them matter. So amenities, thoughtful design. Spaces should be designed for the most possible uses, right? So like you'll see on this next slide, some people might get offended by it, but it's whatever. An amenity room that's like a full band with like guitars and drums and stuff, it's borderline offensive just because like clearly no thought went into it. It probably gets 0.01% of use. And there's no versatility there versus like a sauna or a steam where like it actually is a utility that residents, if you interview them, if you talk to them, they'll say, I love it. You talk to property managers, they'll say this is the most used amenity in the space. Residents don't want more equipment, they want more flexibility. You walk into gyms now, especially new developments, and they have like this equipment, and I like put that line on the right. It shouldn't look like a Cirque du Soleil training facility. Like you have this stuff that, how does that even work, right? Like people want a treadmill, they want weights, like they just want to work out. Like they don't need some crazy robotic stuff. So tenant-generated content, this kind of goes into amenity and design in general. People need to live in a place and exist in places that they're proud of, that they want to show their family to, or like, I hate the term Instagrammable, but like, that's just what it is. So this was actually an employee of one of the tenants in our building. He went viral on TikTok.
So I just got a new job, and I had to go check out the office for the first time. And apparently we have a basketball court on the 17th floor? Wait, we're talking about a full-size basketball court surrounded by the scenic views of the city of Chicago? I have never seen anything like this before. How does my boss expect me to get my work done here, huh? Oh, and if you see me adding 2 extra hours to my lunch break, mind your damn business.
And then, if you look at the comment section, I don't know if it's included in here, but if you look at the comment section, it's literally just random people saying, like, how can I get a job here? Is that an apartment building? Like, it looks expensive to breathe here. Like, and, it's places that are approachable that you can actually go to. And, it's a basketball court. It's been around forever, right? But, like, developers would rather put a golf simulator in their apartment building. I don't know why, but, it's just, like, all about, like, thought and, like, honestly, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And this is something Seth Godin said that like has always resonated with me, the elegance of nothing. If Nike announced that they were opening a hotel, you'd have a pretty good guess about what it would look like. But if Hyatt announced that they were going to make shoes, you would have no idea whatsoever. It's because Nike owns a brand and Hyatt simply owns real estate. And then, you hear about demographics, psychographics. I put that emoji there because psychographics is starting to become one of those like buzzwords that like everybody uses. They don't know what it means. But, I always thought this was like a funny meme because everybody talks about demographics and like it's literally identical. 2 completely different people, but like male, born in 1948, raised in the UK, married twice, lives in a castle, wealthy and famous. And like if you think about your group of friends, like how do you pick the people you hang out with? You're not like, oh, demographics, like age, like, ethnicity, whatever. You pick people based on like hobbies, interests, like similarities, psychographics. And that's how you should, market and design your building as well. And then we're marketing and tech collide. I was gonna just open my browser and do a quick demo, but with like all the different screens, like it's probably gonna take like 3 hours. But the point that I was gonna try and make was that you go typical apartment discovery process, right? Somebody goes to Google, they type in, New York apartments for rent. They end up going on apartments.com. They find a building that they like called Lyra or whatever. They scroll down and it goes book a tour. But instead of actually being able to book a day and a time, you have to fill out a form. Property management company, if they're any good, they'll call you back like within like 3 weeks, who knows? But like there's no transparency unless you go to the property site. And one thing that I've noticed about property websites is that literally the call to action couldn't be more obvious. It's book a tour. But you could go to all these property sites and it's like book a tour is like on the 3rd page hidden at the bottom, and like it's like there's literally one CTA. So like if you go to like Apple's website and you click on like the iPhone category, it's literally like buy now, learn more. And everywhere you go throughout the site, those 2 CTAs are following you. Like it's not rocket science. Data, the most overused word in multifamily real estate after luxury and community. I hope this term dies today. Like, and no disrespect to anybody that uses it, it's just like everybody uses it, and like it means like nothing, nobody knows what it means, like, and it's just like, it's like luxury, right? There's so many luxury apartments in the world that like, holy shit, how did we get here? But like, 99% of them are not luxury, but everybody uses it, so now it means nothing. So like when prospective tenants hear it, they're like, all right, like bullshit, like not even gonna believe it. So like these like cookie cutter terms just like need to stop being used because especially like Gen Z and whatever they call the generation below that, like they can see through authenticity more so than any generation ever. So like when you're using some shit that's like, come live, work, play, we build community here. They're like, no, like you don't. So data only matters when it's actionable. Like it's not hard to get data, right? Like if we opened up like a Google Analytics page or like we went on any other sort of data source, like there's a bunch of like cute, like attractive data points that like really would take a data scientist to explain. You have no idea what they mean or what to do with them. So like it's all pointless. So data in real estate, it needs to mirror like direct to consumer e-commerce. Like I'll go to a developer, I'll be like, what's your cost per tour? And they'll be like, we have it somewhere. I don't know what the number is, but like it's somewhere, right? Or like renter lifetime value. Like in e-commerce, you have LTV, lifetime value of the customer. Like, how do you not have any idea what the lifetime value is of somebody who's been renting it, not even just one of your properties, but like multiple properties in your portfolio? And then like cost per acquisition, signing a lease, how much does it cost you? And then this is the last slide. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. This is an Elon Musk quote that just like, it was super simple and like resonated with me. He's like so smart that like he needs to speak dumb. And like, when I saw this, I was like, yo, I understand you for once. So yeah, I kind of like sped through that. We have 2 minutes left. If anybody like has any questions or like wants to talk shit like about the live work play thing, like feel free. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was incredible.